The thunderous roar of battleship guns still echoes across the Pacific waters. But something unprecedented is about to unfold on these coral beaches. Something that will shatter every assumption about how wars are fought. Picture this moment. Dawn breaks over Sipans' deadly shoreline. The date burns in history. June 15, 1944. From his reinforced bunker, a Japanese lieutenant peers through the morning mist. His machine gun position overlooks what should be a killing field. Every approach has been mapped, every landing zone targeted. The coral reef extends hundreds of yards offshore, a natural barrier that will force American troops into predictable paths of destruction. This officer has studied 3 years of Pacific combat. He knows the deadly dance of amphibious assault. Landing craft approach the beach. Troops wade through chest-deep water. Machine guns cut them down in the shallows. The pattern never changes. But today, something moves wrong in the haze beyond the reef. Shapes emerge that make no sense. Too large, too angular, moving with mechanical purpose through water that should stop any vehicle cold. The lieutenant adjusts his field glasses. His hands shake as impossible reality comes into focus. These are not boats carrying helpless soldiers. These are tanks, massive tracked machines churning through 3 feet of Pacific water, like prehistoric beasts rising from the deep. Their cannon already swing toward his position with deadly intent. The whispered word escapes his lips. Impossible. Yet dozens of these mechanical sea monsters advance in formation. Their engines growl like thunder. Behind them stretch conventional landing craft. But now Marines advance behind a moving wall of armor that Japanese planners never imagined possible. The first cannon blast tears chunks from concrete fortifications. Dust and debris shower down. Terror replaces confidence. Everything about holding Americans at the waterline has just become obsolete in a single devastating moment. How did machines that shouldn't exist rewrite warfare overnight? Why did the peaceful man who invented them never dream they would topple an empire? The revolution didn't begin in secret military facilities. No classified government laboratory produced this breakthrough. Instead, picture the humid workshops of Lakeland, Florida. September 1935. The most catastrophic hurricane in state history has just devastated the Keys. Over 400 people lie dead. Thousands more remain stranded. Flooded roads stretch for miles. Debris fields block every rescue route. Shallow water covers vast areas where conventional vehicles cannot operate. A millionaire engineer named Donald Roblings stares at newspaper photographs of the destruction. His family fortune came from building bridges. Now he sees a problem that engineering might solve. His workshop already contains prototype engines and aluminum hull sections. Grease stains his hands as he sketches the first designs. He calls it simply the Alligator, a tracked vehicle that swims like a boat but climbs like a tank. Surrounded by mechanical experiments and metal filings, Roblings has no idea he's designing the machine that will transform warfare itself. Meanwhile, across 6,000 miles of Pacific Ocean, Imperial Japanese strategists perfect what they believe to be unbeatable island defense. The ocean itself protects Japan's expanding empire. Enemy troops must arrive in vulnerable boats. They must wade through deadly surf. They must establish footholds while exposed to devastating fire. Prepared positions carved from coral and volcanic rock command every approach. Admiral Keiji Shibazaki embodies this supreme confidence. Posted to defend Tarawa Atoll in 1943, this veteran naval officer surveys the coral barriers extending hundreds of yards offshore. His boast echoes through military history. 1 million men would need 100 years to conquer Tarawa. The defensive preparations are masterful. Interlocking fields of fire cover every approach. Concrete bunkers withstand battleship bombardment. Machine guns and artillery target every possible landing zone. But Shibazaki's strategy depends on one unshakable assumption. American forces will follow predictable patterns. They will arrive in conventional landing craft. They will discharge human cargo in shallow water, where defenders can slaughter them. Back in Florida, Roblings' workshop becomes far more than a rich man's hobby. Life magazine features his amphibious Alligator in 1940. Photographs show the strange tracked machine crawling through swampland. Rescue workers ride safely aboard. Marine Corps officers at Quantico study these images with growing excitement. They're not thinking about hurricane rescue. They envision beaches bristling with Japanese guns. They see the solution to amphibious warfare's deadliest problem. American factories retool by 1942. Detroit and Cleveland assembly lines produce thousands of these amphibious machines. Roblings' peaceful invention becomes militarized into the LVT, landing vehicle tracked. Each iteration grows larger, more heavily armored, more powerful. The original civilian rescue vehicle carried barely a dozen people. The LVT-4 evolves into a 40-ton monster. It transports 24 fully equipped Marines from ship to shore, then continues inland with medium tank firepower. The engineering challenges stagger minds. How do you waterproof a vehicle operating in salt water, then immediately functioning on land? How do you design tracks providing both marine propulsion and terrestrial traction? How do you mount weapons engaging targets above and below the waterline? But the real breakthrough isn't technological, it's tactical. Previous amphibious assaults followed predictable patterns: naval bombardment, waves of landing craft, the slow, dangerous process of getting heavy equipment ashore. The LVT eliminates the most vulnerable phase entirely. That deadly transition from sea to land, where Americans died by thousands. Colonel David Shoup, hero of Tarawa, grasps the implications immediately. Standing before maps of coral atolls at Marine headquarters in Hawaii, his prediction proves prophetic. Without LVTs, there is no operation. With them, we can put armor on any beach in the Pacific. Japanese intelligence detects unusual American LVT activity, but their analysts cannot grasp tactical implications. They have no comparable vehicles. They cannot imagine tracked vehicles functioning in salt water. This intelligence gap proves fatal. Admiral Shibazaki continues refining defensive plans 700 miles away. Confident that coral reefs and ocean barriers will channel American forces into predetermined killing zones. He has no idea those barriers are about to become highways. Dawn explodes with thunder on June 15, 1944. The USS Tennessee's 16-inch guns speak first. Their thunder rolls across 30 miles of Pacific water. Towering geysers of coral and concrete erupt in response. Within minutes, 7 battleships join the barrage. 11 cruisers add their voices. 26 destroyers transform pre-dawn darkness into flame and flying debris. Lieutenant General Yoshitsugu Sato feels each impact like physical blows. His command bunker lies deep beneath Mount Tapachau. But his engineers anticipated this overwhelming firepower. Critical positions remain hidden in natural caves, enlarged and reinforced with concrete. Connected by tunnels allowing defenders to move unseen. 15 miles offshore, Sergeant Jimmy Martinez runs final equipment checks. His LVT-4 crew receives their briefing. Carry 24 Marines of the 2nd Division directly to Red Beach 1. Then provide fire support as they advance inland. Unlike Higgins boat operators who discharge troops at the reef edge and withdraw immediately, Martinez will take his Alligator all the way to shore and beyond. Remember, Martinez tells his crew, his voice steady despite bombardment thunder, we're not just a taxi service anymore. We're the first tanks on the beach. Every Marine behind us counts on our gun to keep them alive. 7 a.m. brings sudden silence. Naval guns fall quiet. In the eerie calm, broken only by waves against coral, American landing craft begin final approach. But unlike every previous Pacific assault, the first vehicles hitting Sipans beaches won't carry helpless troops wading through surf. 8 a.m. arrives with mechanical sea monsters. Through acrid smoke of naval bombardment, shapes emerge from morning haze like creatures breaking the surface of an alien world. Lieutenant Nakamura watches from his cliffside bunker in growing disbelief. Tracked vehicles churn directly through coral reef that was supposed to stop American armor cold. Martinez's LVT-4 plows through 3 feet of water at 8 miles per hour. Specially designed tracks provide propulsion. The 75mm cannon swivels toward Japanese positions. Behind Martinez, amphibious tanks stretch to the horizon. Each carries deadly cargo of Marines and heavy weapons directly from ship to shore, without pause or vulnerability. Impossible, Nakamura whispers. His fingers tremble, adjusting machine gun elevation. Tanks cannot swim. But there they are, 40 tons of American engineering prowess, proving the ocean is no longer Japan's ally. As Martinez's LVT approaches beach, his gunner identifies a concrete pillbox. It survived naval bombardment, already traversing machine gun toward landing zone. The 75mm cannon fires. The pillbox disappears in concrete dust and twisted steel. Across the 4-mile landing front, similar scenes repeat. Nearly 700 LVTs deliver human cargo directly onto Sipans beaches. Unlike predictable Higgins boat waves, Japanese defenders learn to target. These armored vehicles arrive in continuous stream, each capable of independent action while providing mutual support. Private First Class Robert Chen rides in Martinez's LVT. He feels tracks bite coral sand, making transition from sea to land. "Holy cow, Sarge," he shouts over engine noise. "We just drove a tank out of the ocean." American amphibious doctrine had accepted massive casualties for 3 years. The inevitable price of establishing beachheads against fortified positions. At Tarawa, nearly 1,000 Marines died in 76 hours. Most while wading through shallows under devastating fire, from positions exactly like those now facing Sipan. But LVTs eliminate the most vulnerable assault phase. Japanese defensive fire, carefully pre-registered on waterlines where previous American assaults were most exposed, now strikes empty water. Real targets are already inland. Armor shrugs off small arms fire. Cannons systematically reduce positions that took months to construct. Colonel Takashi Yamamoto commands the 136th Infantry Regiment defending southern beaches. He frantically radios superiors. Enemy tanks coming directly from sea. Repeat, enemy tanks coming from sea. Our beach obstacles are useless. They are driving over coral reef. Even as Yamamoto speaks, he realizes this transcends tactical surprise. American engineers fundamentally solved amphibious warfare's central problem: how to deliver heavy weapons and armor to hostile shores quickly enough to exploit initial assault shock. Within 90 minutes of first landing, over 8,000 American troops are ashore, with full armor support, advancing against positions designed to defeat entirely different attacks. Japan's 3-year investment in coral reef defenses becomes worthless in under 2 hours. 10 a.m. brings Lieutenant General Saito's terrible realization. Every assumption underlying defensive strategy was wrong. Radio reports paint nightmare scenarios. American armor already 2 miles inland. Japanese beach defenses collapsing faster than reserves can respond. Americans landing supplies and reinforcements at unprecedented rates. Launch counterattack now, Saito orders Colonel Yamamoto. Drive them back into sea before they consolidate. What follows becomes one of Pacific warfare's largest tank battles, though odds are catastrophically lopsided. Japan's 9th Tank Regiment charges across Sipans sugarcane fields with desperate courage and obsolete equipment. Type 95, Hago tanks designed for Chinese infantry support face American armor designed for European battlefields. Martinez watches through periscope as first Japanese tanks emerge from coconut palms. Targets 11 o'clock, his gunner calls. Range 800 yards. The 75mm cannon fires. The lead Hago simply disintegrates. Thin armor proves no match for weapons designed to knock out German Panthers in Normandy. 24 Japanese tanks become burning scrap metal scattered across cane fields in under 20 minutes. The age of amphibious tank warfare has arrived. The Japanese Empire learns what that means through devastation. Lieutenant Hiroshi Nakamura survived Sipans battle, one of fewer than 1,000 Japanese defenders living through 3 weeks of slaughter. His post-war memoirs, published in 1970, capture the psychological earthquake of that morning. We prepared for the enemy we knew, but America brought us war we could never have imagined. They turned our greatest natural advantage, the ocean itself, into their highway to victory. Numbers tell the transformation story beyond individual battles. Before Sipan, American forces required an average 2 weeks establishing secure beachheads on defended islands. After Sipan, that timeline collapsed to days or hours. LVTs eliminated fundamental vulnerability, constraining American offensive operations since Pearl Harbor. The real revolution wasn't just tactical, it was strategic. For the first time since war began, American forces captured territory, bringing Japanese cities within sustained bombing range. B-29 superfortresses, already assembling on rapidly constructed airfields, would soon carry war directly to Japan's industrial heartland. Donald Roblings spent his remaining life grappling with innovation's unintended consequences. The peaceful inventor whose hurricane rescue vehicle started this chain reaction reflected in a 1954 interview. "I designed the Alligator to save lives in Florida swamps. I never imagined it would help end a war on the world's other side." Sergeant Martinez returned to Texas after war. He kept a photograph of his LVT-4 on workshop walls for life. "People ask what won the war," he told grandchildren. "I tell them it wasn't any one thing. But the day we learned driving tanks out of ocean was the day Japan lost the Pacific." Strategic implications extended far beyond World War II. Modern amphibious assault vehicles trace lineage directly back to those first LVTs emerging from Sipan's surf. Today's Marine Corps assault amphibious vehicles, advanced hovercraft, tiltrotor aircraft. The principle remains identical. Eliminate vulnerable transition between sea and land that constrained military operations for centuries. Coral reefs around Sipan still bear scars from that June 1944 morning, when American amphibious tanks first demonstrated island fortress warfare's end. But the real monument to their achievement lies not in physical battle evidence. It lies in strategic reality they created. The transformation of the world's largest ocean from Japan's protective moat into America's highway to victory. Here on these shores, an empire realized the war was already lost, the moment American armor crawled directly out of the sea. The ocean itself had become America's ally. Japan's greatest natural barrier transformed into launching pad for final victory. The peaceful inventor in Florida, swamps. The desperate admiral on coral atolls. The sergeant driving impossible machines through Pacific surf. Their stories converged in 3 hours of combat that changed warfare forever. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell. The most decisive battles are won by innovations nobody sees coming. History's greatest surprises emerge from workshops, not war rooms. And sometimes the difference between victory and defeat comes down to one simple question. What if tanks could swim?